Hey guys, welcome back. Episode 23 of the Vision Board Podcast. I'm Tristan Cannell, alongside me, Johnny Stofko.
Johnny Stofko in the house. Hello.
You got that voice. You want to be Bruce Buffer. I think we've said this.
What?
I've said this before.
I was a bigger fan of Michael Buffer.
Yeah.
That one.
that's
I don't
right.
want to continue to ruin your eardrums. I will kill your eardrums. Speaking of kill, who you got on the show?
We got Abel Killer Trujillo.
The man.
He's UFC fighter. Had a huge win in January. He's going to be on the Brisbane card coming up in March. So we've got him live from Florida. But before that, before he steps in, we're going to big shout out to our sponsors.
Sponsoring this episode of the Vision Board Podcast, our first one is The Organic Trainer. Check them out at www.theorganictrainer.com for all of your exercise and tea recovery needs. Also, pick up one of their trainer flasks at their website. When you're proceeding to the checkout, use keyword The Vision Board to receive 10% off of all your purchases. Our second sponsor for this episode is Jack Rabbit Slim's Barbershop. If you're living in Sydney, Australia, King's Cross, Potts Point, be sure to book an appointment up with Dre. He'll leave you feeling focused, so fresh and so clean. Jack Rabbit Slim's Barbershop.
Most definitely. Guys, just a big shout out, just a thank you for subscribing and also leaving us those beautiful 5-star reviews. So we're very appreciative of that. So if you haven't yet, if you could just quickly jump on, as you're listening right now, just hit the search button, Vision Board Podcast. If you hit reviews, you'll be able to put a right of a review. So,
5-star review.
So
thank you.
Very appreciative.
We love it.
And we'll just keep getting guys and girls.
Speaking of girls, don't give too much away, but ladies.
Yeah.
Whoever we can, man. Our job here is to promote and inspire people and to be a platform to teach and let everybody know we are all great. The only thing that separates the ones that haven't found theirs yet, I think, in my opinion, is time.
Definitely. Time is the most valuable commodity in the world. But guys, just a big thank you. But it won't take too much longer. Here is Abel.
It makes me wanna creep.
I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul. I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul.
The Vision Board Podcast, hosted by Johnny Stofko and Tristan Cannell.
All right, our special guest today is UFC's Abel Trujillo. He competes in the stacked lightweight division with a record of 13-7. He was born in Greensboro, North Carolina, now residing out of Boca Raton, Florida, with the highly regarded Blackzillian MMA team. We welcome Abel Trujillo. How are you, Abel?
Good, man. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on the show.
No, most definitely, man. We're very excited to have you on. Obviously, you're going to be coming to Australia. Very excited. March 20. You've got that huge clash with Ross Pearson. Let's start with that, man. What are you anticipating out of the fight coming up with Ross?
Man, fireworks. I always wanted to fight. Ross because, I looked up to him, and I think styles make fights, and I think it's going to be a great fight for the fans.
Yeah. Abel, I was also... that fight, like you said, it's cool to hear from you, from your perspective, that you want that fight too. When looking back at your resume, you fought, they threw you in deep water with Nurmagomedov. You fought Ferguson. You're, in my opinion, as a fan of the sport, you're still figuring out, we haven't seen your full potential. So going into this Pearson fight, are you thinking about doing anything new, or are you going to do that, your typical let's throw bombs?
A little bit of both. My strongest attribute is when, being tough and, banging. But, I've been working on a lot of different transitions and stuff like that as well. Yeah.
That Jamie Varner fight, that epitomizes being able to take a hit, give it back, overcome adversity. We were interviewing another UFC fighter a couple days ago, and he kind of said the best lie detector is the cage. And it's pretty interesting when you get a guy you get a guy who maybe talks the talk, but when they face that adversity for the first time, you really get to see his character. But with you, we always see you coming forward, man. So we're looking forward to that fight.
Yeah, thanks, man. I am too.
Hey, was this the first time you fought outside the USA?
Nah, I fought in Brazil. That's where I fight T-Bow at, was in Brazil.
Awesome, man.
Controversy on that fight, right?
Yeah, a lot of controversy.
Yeah, I really didn't have it in my notes to talk about that fight, but the way you look at it in your headspace, I hear some guys who, they hold on to losses. They talk about needing to avenge them. Some guys do the opposite. They talk about flushing it out. The past is the past. Let's move on. How are you wired in terms of that? Do you look back on your losses and do you want to hit these guys again, or do you want to just move forward in different challenges?
Yeah, some guys I would love to fight again, but with him, I think he's already suspended for 2 years.
Yep.
So I'm not even looking forward to fight him again. He's got his own problems to deal with from the drug testing and stuff. So, yeah, I don't really want to avenge that loss. It's 2 years down the road anyway, if I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, well, just with obviously the time difference between Australia and United States, obviously we're 9 o'clock right here now, and you're around 5 o'clock in Florida.
In the morning.
Yeah, 9 in the morning. Have you been doing anything to combat the time difference, like training at different times in Florida at the moment?
Nah, not really. I'm gonna get down there a little bit earlier than usual to get acclimated to the time and weather.
Yeah, man. Have you been down to Australia before?
Nah, I haven't.
Oh.
I haven't.
Dude, yeah. So when you say you're going to get down here before, are you going to come down a week in advance, 2 weeks prior?
Closer to a week, but I'm gonna stay like a week after too. I'm gonna do some seminars down there.
Okay.
And actually,
Where's the seminars at? Is it in Brisbane?
we haven't did the details yet. We're actually setting that up this week, so I'll have some the details soon.
Yeah, man. If you stop by the Sydney area, we'll bring you through the gym, the health club, show you around.
Nice, man.
Yeah, man. Sydney's an awesome area. We get the fights down. You know, in the last year we had the Sydney card, Adelaide had a card, Melbourne. We were at those fights. The thing that you get to look forward to is the crowd. Are you the type of guy that pays attention to that background noise, or do you tune it all out?
Like going out to the cage and like the announcement and stuff, I block all that out. But like there's certain times where I absorb it, especially like after the fight, for sure.
Yeah, suck that in, man.
How long before the fight do you actually start getting nervous? Is it something it's a couple hours before? Is it like just before? When's it for you, man?
I think once you actually get to the arena and then, you start, getting the hands wrapped and warming up, you're like, fuck, I'm about to fight.
Yeah, man. So I was always wondering, too, the interesting thing with, your sport, you're at the highest level of competition in the highest level of combat at the UFC. When I first saw you fight, this is coming from a fan's perspective and somebody who likes the sport, it seems to me that the way the fans looking at you, if nobody knew about you and they just saw your build, they would instantly think that you'd be, champion caliber. Do you feel that played a role in the fights you got right off the bat, or do you have the say-so of who you get to fight? Because right when you got thrown into the waters, you were fighting like the highest level of guys.
Yeah, I never really had a say-so, but I never really tried to have a say-so either. I think if I would have tried, I probably would have had maybe some success with that, but I honestly just took whoever they gave me, and I think after my debut, they were impressed, and just like you said, they threw me to nerves, and then I fought Ferguson, who's top 5 as well as Khabib, and I fought Gleason, who has the most wins in the lightweight history. So they can't really give me anybody else tougher than those guys, I feel like.
Yeah, most definitely. Hey, Abel, you're a 4-time All-American in university. Who was the first one that introduced you to things like striking and MMA? How'd you fall in love with the sport, man?
My assistant wrestling coach in college got me into it.
Yeah, did you go to William Penn?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, we looked into that. That's the thing in Australia. The way the collegiate system here is, it's way more directed towards the academic. I grew up in Ohio, so like I'm very well versed with the college sports side of things. When you were winning those championships in college, did your future self did you say you wanted to be an MMA fighter? What was the catalyst?
Oh.
Was it a specific fight? Did you see like GSP one day fighting and you're like, I want to do that?
Man, what's crazy? I wrestled with Joe Benavidez. We was on the same team, and he ended up just going away and pursuing fighting, and then down the road, I seen him fighting WC doing well, and it sparked something. And then I see Ben Henderson, who was like in my conference. I see him doing well in WC, and then the cake that did it was I wrestled Rick Story.
Okay.
First round at Nationals. It was an overtime match. I beat him, and then I see him in UFC get submission of the night. And I'm like, yo, I hit him up. I was like, yo, I got to come train with you, man. Like, I got to get into this shit, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, so Story, if you guys are listening, don't know, Rick, he hasn't fought since the, was it the Gunnar Nelson fight?
Yeah,
Yeah, so you call him up, and that's who you started grappling with? That's who you started training with?
Yeah, I started training with him like a week later after I hit him up.
That's now was he still up in the Pacific Northwest, or did he make the move down?
Yep.
Okay.
Nah, he was up north.
Okay, and so when you get another question, we were Tristan and I were brainstorming on it. So when you're down with the Blackzillians, you're getting ready for your fights. Are they bringing guys? Because you guys are a really well-known, well-reputed team down there with like the team dynamic. You know, guys, basically a brotherhood. Do they bring different guys into your camp to maybe bring different dynamics that you need to work on personally, or is it all the guys at your gym every day, the ones you're using?
Yeah, it's more of the same guys at the gym every day. We do get new guys, but they're not really to help us. They're just mainly we're just building the team, so there's a lot of new talent, and so I get a lot of work with those guys as well.
Do you guys talk about, like, so you got yourself fighting at 155? I know that Alvarez,
Michael.
yeah, Alvarez goes, at 155. Johnson. Do you guys talk about, like, one day if you guys had a fight? Is that all cool, or is there like a pact that you guys say, hey man, I'm not going to fight you?
I mean, we talked about it. Me, Michael, Eddie, Gilbert. Like, if ever were to happen, if we felt like we would only fight if it was like a title fight, because there's so many people there, we could be able to get around fighting each other.
Yeah.
Abel, how did you first come about getting into the Blackzillians? Was it someone that poached you from, obviously you grew up in North Carolina, but how'd you end up there, man?
So I had a wrestling teammate in college at William Penn, Kamaru Usman. He won the Tough 21, Blackzillians versus ATT. But anyway, he was training at the Olympic Training Center for wrestling. He was going to these different camps, helping guys with their wrestling for the MMA fights. And he was going to the Blackzillians to help Rashad Evans in 2011. And so he hit me up and told me, and I was like, hey, ask them if they need somebody my size. And so they did. Michael Johnson had a fight. AJ had a fight. So they flew me down there, and then they just asked me to stay once I got down there.
Awesome.
So I always wonder too, you know, seeing a guy's numbers on the internet, what they list people as, they might say a guy's 5'9", fights at 155. When you're making that cut to 155, say you're out of camp and you're not fighting for a couple months, what are you walking around at? Like, how big is the cut for you? Because you look, dude, you look massive at 155.
Yeah, about 176.
Okay. Has it been an issue?
Right.
What's your opinion on, like, are you pro for, like, the new rule with the IVs, or are you finding that you might have to start fighting at a different weight class?
Yeah, I probably only got IVs for probably like maybe 6 fights out of my career, so I'm used to rehydrating without those, so it's not a big game changer for me.
Okay.
Abel, let's just talk a little bit more about, obviously, Blackzillians. Just one of my previous guests and friend, Dr. Corey Peacock. You've been working a lot with him with, obviously, strength and conditioning and recovery. Can you just tell us a little bit about the work you've been doing with Corey?
Yeah, Dr. Corey Peacock, he's been amazing to our team, a great asset. He brings a PhD, a lot of knowledge, not just with conditioning and strengthening, but, he's all over my diet, my nutrition, my weight cut, how to water load properly, and, of course, his specialty with his strengthening and conditioning. So that guy's amazing, man. Big props to him for my last fight, too.
That's awesome.
How much stronger are you since Corey's come on board? Have you seen notable increases in most of your, like, obviously, I'm sure that you're deadlifting and squatting and all those sorts of compound exercises? Are they always in your program?
Yeah, for sure. Olympic lifts. I had like a shoulder and knee problem, so he did a lot of like injury prevention. So he got areas that were weak and got them stronger, so they're no longer like handicaps of mine,
That's awesome. It's like the old phrase: make your weaknesses your strengths.
Definitely. And
So-
just touching on that, that's a good question, actually, because weakness is your strength. Obviously, you're a wrestler, Abel. You've been doing a lot of work with your striking coach, Henry Hoff. and obviously he's very experienced, very well regarded in the industry. Can you just tell us a little bit of the work that Henry's done to obviously lift your game in that area?
Yeah, Henry's very passionate about what he does. So he likes to represent his Henry Hoof system. So, like a lot of pad work, one-on-one work. But Henry is not just that. Henry's a good motivator. He's a good coach. Like, he knows what to say at the right times. Especially like fight night. He's one of those rare people that know what to say, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, there was a mentor of mine. He would always say, Johnny, you need to know how, learn how to read a room. So, and I think that's really important in your field, what you're doing, having a guy in your corner that you could basically rely on to give you, verbal, basically positive darts for you to use in the cage. Abel, we like using this platform, Tris and I, interactive with our, we see clients, we see one-on-one, we run, some classes outside of here. And one of my clients wanted me to ask you, she says, somebody like you at your highest level, what you're doing, combat sport, what motivates you to where you are? Is it yourself personally that wants to get better each time? Is it an opponent that you kind of have directed or targeted that you want to be? What is that's driving you inside that drives Abel Trujillo?
My personal goals that I set out for myself, that when I got into the sport, I've only seen, visions of me being the best, fighting in front of massive fans, winning, of course, with my hand raised, and just putting on phenomenal performances. And, of course, like, it sounds generic, but, I visualize myself with that belt. And, the only way to motivate yourself is self-motivation,
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
That's an awesome statement. But just with the belt, obviously Dos Anjos has got it. We've got Conor McGregor moving into the division. It's stacked. You've got the likes of your teammates. You've got Alvarez, Johnson. You've got Pettis, Cerrone. You've got Nate Diaz. Not looking too far ahead. Like, for me, I think you're going to walk straight through Ross Pearson, get the W. What's that dream matchup that you want coming up, man?
I had a list of guys who had been dreams, and after Ross, 2 of them would have been done, because Jamie Varner was on the list, Pearson was on the list. For some reason, Diego Sanchez is on the list because his name kept popping up with the fans, and I love to please the fans, man. That's one of the reasons why I do it for. So I would like to have that a dream matchup as well.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, the way I see it, the path looks pretty clear. If you look at, you beat Ross. Did they? I read on a couple message boards that they were going to release the fight of Khabib and El Kukui, Ferguson, and then they were talking about that winner would probably face the winner of the Conor RDA fight, which puts you kind of right in the position. We were thinking maybe 1 or 2 fights away from a shot. Everyone has their eyes on that. What is it? UFC 200, the opening. Do you see yourself a guy that needs a whole camp to fight again, or do you, depending on how it goes, are you ready to fight at the drop of a dime?
Yeah, I'm ready to fight, man. I've been active, and I've only been taking 2-3 weeks off, and then I'm right back in the gym. So like I don't get too much out of shape in those few weeks. So like I'm just ready, man. And like you said, I could potentially be a couple fights away, and the way I fight, it's entertaining. I finish fights. Yeah. All my wins are finished, so I think that puts me ahead of somebody just winning close fights by decision.
Yeah.
Abel, obviously, on January 2, you opened up the year in sensational style. You submitted Tony Sims in that first round. Obviously, how much confidence did it take you? Obviously, you bounced back from a couple of losses. Very impressive style. How much confidence did you take from that win, man?
Man, so much confidence because, in this sport, there's a lot of ups and downs, and I was just going through my downs, but, I'm back up, man. After every win in the UFC, you feel like you could be there close to that title because everybody is tough. There's no easy fights, and at this level, we're at the highest level of competition, so there's no like bum out there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Could you talk about I like reading a lot about and talking about when I see people using negative experiences in their life as a catalyst for positive. So they always say hindsight's 20/20. Just focusing on your fighting career, keeping it inside the cage. is there one specific moment that you kind of use as an anchor that in the moment wasn't really a good thing for you, but now looking back, you're like, I was able to evolve from that, and now I'm a better version of myself?
Yeah, for sure. Probably the Khabib fight.
All right. Yeah, was it? Go on.
Yeah, because, like I said, it was my second fight. So coming off my first fight, I was on like a little high. I was like maybe feeling myself a little too much. So, you know, it was like I had to be humbled again. I was like, yo, like this is my second fight. I lost. Like I had to like get my shit together again. I felt like.
Yeah, man. So how old were you when you left Carolina?
I was 18. I went to college in Iowa.
Yeah. So you're definitely a Cam Newton guy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, they're going to win that game?
Oh, yeah, of course.
All right, for all of our fans listening who are Australian, we're talking about the Super Bowl. We got the Panthers versus Denver. Cam Newton's a ball player.
I'm like the Panthers.
Oh, dude, Cam Newton. I like what Newton says about these people can't compare me to anybody because I'm not like anyone else. That's pretty – I like stuff like that.
Abel, obviously backtracking, Johnny mentioned your physique. It's outstanding. So guys like yourself, you've got Sage Northcutt as well, who's very, very ripped. Obviously with the UFC changing their testing rules, drug testing rules, have you seen a significant increase on the amount of times that you've been tested since?
Man, they test me every fight. Fight day, because that's fight days in competition. They do in competition, and then about 2 weeks before the fight, it's called out of competition. They come to my house. They come to the gym. Yeah, so I don't know if somebody like tipped them off or like, hey, you need to check this guy all the time because that's what it seems like. But like I said, I don't do none of that stuff, so it's always gonna come up negative. So
yeah, I think it's just the impressive physique, man. It's just one of those things that people sometimes get jealous of.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting too, what Tristan's saying there is anyone who watches the UFC, especially in the last year, because of these tests, you're able to see guys that maybe 3 years ago looked like bodybuilders. I don't want to name drop, but this last card that just happened, UFC Boston, there was a veteran on the card, and I had to Google image him because I'm like, there's no way this is the same dude, and his body just, the older we get, we deteriorate. But it's interesting to watch some of these people who were cheating in the past be exposed to an extent. And then for a guy like you who know that you've never done it, is that sort of an edge for you?
yeah, for sure, man. Like you always want to keep the sport clean because the guys who at the highest level or rank the highest, they get paid more. So when they get paid more, they got more resources. They can afford these sports enhancement drugs that we can't really get our hands on, So I think it's the guys that are at the top that are where we're doing it.
Yeah, man.
Obviously, being at the highest level in the UFC, do you take much notice of other sports like boxing?
Yeah, I still watch boxing here and there. Mayweather, I used to love watching him fight, but I haven't really caught a fight since his last fight.
Yeah. Do you watch much of Canelo Alvarez at all? Are you much of a fan of him?
Yeah, I like his style a lot.
Did you see they're matched up with Amir Khan? Did you see that matchup just got announced yesterday, man?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yes, they'll be fighting in June. So,
Who you liking that fight?
yeah, I actually like, if it goes to the distance, I like Amir.
You're crazy.
I think Amir.
Who do you like? Hey, who you like in that fight? Canelo,
for sure.
That's an easy one to call. All
You
right,
think I just don't think Khan has. Khan's. I like gritty dudes that when they bleed, that you see some, you see a little bit extra in them. I don't think Khan's ever really showed me
Amir's
that.
fast, but Amir's the fastest in Rocky.
Yeah.
He's going to show him a few things.
Abel, man, are you doing any type of alternative therapies? Do you train the body like meditative wise? Do you do acupuncture? Are you doing anything like that outside the cage?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I do all that.
All right. How long have you been on that? Have you always been on that path, or is this something the older you're getting, the more you're evolving?
Yeah, since like 2009, I've been like putting that into my daily routine. So it affects my my fighting as well. And I got an acupuncturist too, a local one, since like 2014, Dr. Tony. He's amazing. He's like a real healer. So whenever I feel like I need like that real deal recovery, I go to him. He gets me right.
Yeah, have you heard of a thing called Kambo? Kambo?
Nah.
Yeah, so combo is a. I'm gonna get yelled at for talking about this because my girlfriend she practices it, but it's from the Amazon, and what I've been reading is that a lot of it's good for fighters, and it's basically you're purging. You use it's a toxin from a frog in the Amazon, and you take the toxin. It's a way to cleanse, and a lot of people talk about it grounding them. Ask your acupuncturist about it. KAMBO. See what he has to say.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you feel that since you've been doing the acupuncture, you feel like you said it's showing up in the cage? Do you mean by like more patience, being able to ground yourself?
Yeah, I just think it's not really per se the fighting. I think what it does is it balances me out like mentally, spiritually. So it's like a ripple. It's like a snowball effect. It like keeps going on to something else. You know what I'm saying? Because it's positive.
Definitely. Is that something that helped you? Obviously, you went through a rough patch in 2014 with fights falling apart. 2015, you copped a few injuries. Are things like what Johnny and you guys just talked about, meditation and things like that, is that what's helped you keep positive during those times?
Yeah, for sure, man. Doing my my spiritual practices every day, or at least trying to do every day, that definitely got me through that rough patch of my life. Like with ease, because like I could have easily been stressing, and there's times I was, being injured, back, these fights dropping out, the money not being there from the fights, and just so on and so on. But just not really worried about the materialistic part of life. It definitely made everything go much smoother.
Do you have any tips for like I have a couple friends who fight. I have a couple clients who are injured. Do you have any tips to anyone who's listening who maybe has an injury right now and they can't move? Something that worked for you when you were going through your injuries?
Yeah, obviously it was rough. So just stay positive. For me, I would meditate. I would do Kundalini yoga. I would, say like certain mantras, and I would just focus on just healing my body faster. And whatever I could do as far as a workout, I would do. Like if my arm was broke, which it was, I would work on my legs. You know what I'm saying? So something like that.
Abel, your surname Trujillo. What's the nationality background in that, man?
Spanish, from Spain.
From Spain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trujillo.
Can you speak a little bit of Spanish?
Nah, I wasn't raised on the Spanish side, so I'm fluent.
Me llamo Giovanni. We learned that a little bit in high school, but I was horrible.
What about you? One thing I did want to ask you. Your nickname, it's awesome, Killer. Tell me a little bit about how you got the nickname Killer.
All right, so I was wrestling in college in Iowa, and I started fighting there, and my wrestling teammates, they saw me like having success with it. So then basically like damn near the whole wrestling team started fighting. It was like William Penn wrestling team going around fighting at these places. So we was like, we gotta find a name or whatever, and everybody just on the team just called me Killer. It was just weird. Like nothing really came about. It was just like, yo, your name's Killer, so people started calling me Killer. So then we called it Team Killer. Yeah. So that's where Team Killer came from.
Yeah.
All right, that's good, man. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Abel, just want to get a quick opinion from you. Obviously, I mentioned before Conor McGregor stepping up to fight Dos Anjos. Do you have a pick in that fight at all?
On paper, Dos Anjos. But you never know with McGregor, man. That dude, he's so full of himself, so confident. People like that are, they're scary. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
Confidence is a big thing.
How surprised were you that he knocked out Aldo so quickly?
Yeah, I blinked. I was like, what happened?
Yeah, man, that's the thing about, life, sport, fighting, is that it really is, without sounding cliche, it reminds me of that speech Pacino gave on training day, or Any Given Sunday, when he's talking about it's a game of inches. Have you seen that speech?
Nah.
Oh, dude, you want to get YouTube that, man, before a fight. Just YouTube Any Given Sunday locker room speech. But so he's talking about it's a game of inches, and if you watch that video of Conor versus Aldo, Conor connects, but the punch right before Aldo, he grazed Conor. And if it was maybe an inch, if his movement was a little bit more forward or more quick, I think he's knocking him out. So it's pretty interesting how sometimes the ball falls per se.
Abel,
Yeah.
how important is body language at the weigh-in?
Oh yeah, we love this one. Yeah, at the weigh-in, because we like watching the weigh-ins just as much as we do the fights. I have a psychology background. Tristan has a background in business, and we like seeing the body language. So, do you feel that this plays a part when you're staring a guy down? Do you ever tell yourself, "I got this"?
Oh, for sure. Like, yeah, like I'm real big into that too. I hate it when guys like smiling, shaking hands, and hugging. Like, I don't want to see that shit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, like, as a fan of the sport, I think other fans don't want to see that.
Yeah.
So when I got into the UFC, I was kind of like extra over the top aggressive, causing like controversy at weigh-ins and stuff. But like, there's nothing wrong with that. But I wasn't getting paid extra for that, and I was really getting upset where I would get mad, and I'm like, yo, I can't really put my body through this right now. I'm about to fight tomorrow.
Yeah.
So now I'm a little bit more calm, but I still look at my opponent in his eyes, and I tell him, like, I mentally tell him I'm going to kill him, and he knows that.
Yeah,
most definitely.
that's very important.
Hey, just another question, just on the Blackzillians again. Something I want to touch base with you. Obviously, all the superstars, you guys. You've got Alvarez, Johnson, etc., etc. Who are some of the young guns that are pushing you in training at the moment? Who are we looking out for?
We're looking out for Carrington Banks. He's just I don't know if I can't really talk about himself, but he's new. He's a very good wrestler, 4-time All-American. So he's like a very, very good asset in the room for anybody that has a fight coming up. We got Sean Soriano. He's good. We got Robert Van Roosmalen, who's a Glory kickboxing champion at lightweight. He's down here training for his MMA debut. So, everybody's kind of helping everybody. He helps us with our stand-up. We help him with his wrestling, stuff like that. So everybody's just, helping everybody.
Yeah, how important is that though? Like that's a very interesting. So you see this a lot with guys. So and so's leaving gyms to go here. It seems like that's like one little stress factor you guys down at the Blackzillians never have to worry about when they say iron sharpens iron. Is that the best camp? I know to a layman we would easily say yes, but how fortunate are you to be able to fight in that every day to get your iron sharpened by those guys?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate, very grateful because especially at the lightweight division, we got a couple studs at welterweight as well. So we just got so much depth in that weight class that there's never an easy round. You're always getting better every day.
Are you guys going full on? Because I read somewhere that Lawler doesn't. I don't know how true this is, but he's down to ATT. I heard he doesn't even spar anymore. But
yeah,
it made me think. Are you guys? Is it when you guys are sparring? Are you going like 100?
we have our days when we go 100. We do.
I like to see those videos are probably better than some of the fights on the card.
Most definitely.
Yeah, we're a crazy camp, man. There's times that people get knocked out on a weekly basis.
Hey, well, just a question I like to ask all my guests. It's just a personality question. Now, Abel, if you were hosting a dinner party, apart from your close family and friends, you've got 5 invites that you can invite. Who are those 5 people, man? Dead or alive?
Oh, dead or alive.
Yeah, buddy.
Mike Tyson.
Yep.
Kevin Hart.
Oh, he's funny.
Wiz Cook. Yeah, I guess so because he's funny. I need him there. He's a funny guy. Mike Tyson. He's my crazy guy.
Yep. Did you say Wiz?
Yeah, I need Wiz Khalifa there for sure. You said 5, so the next two have to probably be a couple babes.
Yeah, you're so predictable.
What? I can't have a sausage fast at the table.
Yeah. I feel you. Who are you picking? Who are those 2?
All right, so let me see. Let me run through my brain real quick. That is tough, man. It'll probably be, I don't know, but it'll be somebody who is flawless. 2 of them.
So 2 flawless babes.
Beyonce?
Yeah, she can get it for sure. and Rihanna.
There you
Beyonce
go.
and Rihanna. There you go.
Yeah, let's flip the script. What we also like to do, we like to send the episode off on some positivity. So, Abel, could you give our listeners, maybe who are struggling with something in their life, so some motivation, some inspiration that's worked for you in the past?
Yeah, just stay true to yourself. Like, don't worry about other people think. Just have your goals. Grind every day to get them. Once you do that, your time will eventually come. And just stay around good people who motivate you and stay positive and make it an everyday effort to focus on your spirit, because I think that's the key to life.
That's beautiful.
Awesome. Well said, man. Well, Abel, thank you so much for your time today. We're going to be rooting for you against Ross Pearson. We know you got this covered, man. So we'll be backing you, and we'll see you around fight night.
Yeah, Abel, man. Good luck, man. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Just
no
before
worries.
you leave, actually, Abel, where can the people find you both online and on social media if they want to follow your career, man?
Instagram and Twitter, it's at Killer Trujillo, and Facebook, my fan page is Abel Killer Trujillo.
Awesome. So, guys at home, make sure you jump on that, because Abel's
Yeah, we'll put in the
going to
notes
top.
too. Yeah, we'll put in the notes too, man.
Most definitely.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys, man. I appreciate it.
No,
Yeah, no
most
worries,
definitely.
man.
We'll speak soon.
All right, cool.
All
See
right,
you,
man.
Abel.
Yep, peace.
Later.
Yeah.
Abel Trujillo.
Yeah, I like stay true. I love, what's turning into my favorite.
He's a young man as well.
He's young, man.
Years old.
He's dealt with a lot of adversity too, man. Like, especially the question when we were chatting about, I think that a lot of times in society, wherever you are, it's just natural to judge each other. So if you look at Abel and then you see his name, nicknamed Killa, and you look at his body, he has a really thick tattoo around his neck that's a chain. He looks like a savage, but I think because of that, he gets stereotyped a little bit in terms of, like, maybe even Sean Shelby, the matchmaker in the UFC. All right, this guy looks like a champion. He's going to get champs. And from the time he stepped foot into the octagon, he's been fighting the highest level of guys.
Yeah.
Like he said, there's no way, once you start fighting those guys, there's no way to backpedal. So there's kind of a double-edged sword there, because you lose a couple fights, you're out of the UFC. How do you get back?
Exactly.
And he's overcome adversity in that sense.
Big time. Like we spoke about, 2014, he had fight after fight drop out. 2015, he lost a couple of fights, and he got injured.
Yeah.
So he's a huge tooth. So
Yeah, this is big. This is, I think, the most pivotal part in his career right now. Coming off the victory in January, going into
on a roll.
going into enemy. Well, he needs to get 2. He needs his victory. But he's late. I don't think he's put 2 in a row yet in the UFC. I think he won like 6 in a row. Got to the UFC, won 1, lost 2, won 1, lost 1. Now he won 1. So this is a big one for him to win. And it's against the top caliber guy, Ross Pearson, man. Ross won the Ultimate Fighter reality show he was on. He's a veteran. His style, if you're a fan of the UFC, if you're not a fan, watch this fight.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fireworks. Abel,
I've seen him fight live in Las Vegas. He's
I
all action. Packed.
Ross
Yeah.
or Abel?
Ross.
Yeah, I think I saw Ross when he fought in Adelaide or Sydney. I was at the cards this past year. I can't remember which one it was. But I like what Abel said in the goals part of the segment. The goals part of the show is one of my favorite bits now, because a lot of times whether they're entrepreneurs, fitness guys like Romanello, or a fighter like Abel, you start hearing this same type of foundational work. Stay true to yourself.
Yeah.
Set goals. I like what Abel said, your time will come. I wrote that down.
Do you feel sometimes that things start happening and for him, he fought in January, March, so if he gets through them, you're probably thinking he's fighting in June and then probably September. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you think sometimes the path, it starts coming out, do you know what I mean? And you kind of see it, and I think just in his words today, I could see that someone's scheduled this really well, and it's like timing is everything, if you get what I mean.
What I think, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but what it sounds like to me is what I read about and what I talk to you quite often about synchronicity. It's about synchronicity is about everything being aligned in our physical incarnation and our spiritual being, and it's if we're putting the work in, especially on a positive platform. Now this works on both ends. If you're negative too, and you keep continuously doing these negative things, there's going to be synchronicity in your life that maybe you're going to get a DUI and then you're going to go to jail and you can't pay for that and things like that. But the opposite side, the beautiful part about synchronicity is more of an awareness.
Yeah.
So you're hanging around the right people, you're putting the work in. Then, in his case, he's a fighter. He wins a fight here. Then he gets a bigger fight here. Now he gets to travel to Australia. And I think it's because he's starting to be a little bit more aware of what it takes to be that disciplined fighter in the cage. Because this is a guy that, since he came to the UFC, ding, ding, he's throwing bombs. And if you watch that Jamie Varner fight, dude, it looks like he gets knocked out. And then he knocks Varner out,
Yeah.
and then that's his style.
And they're just going at it.
And then, unfortunately, we mentioned in the show about him fighting against Gleison Tebow, and there is for the UFC, they're not going to talk about it. You're going to have to rely on shows like this, on podcasts, on check out other venues. But there was a horrible drug problem in the UFC a couple years ago, and they're trying to clean it up. They brought in USADA, which is the Olympic committee who drug tests. So you heard it. Abel's body looks like a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
He's an athlete. So these guys it's kind of intrusive what they do, knocking on doors before fights, after fights.
What is that, 176 he walks around at?
Yeah, that's only a 21-pound cut.
That's pretty good.
It's about,
It's
what,
8
9
kilos,
kilos?
8 kilos,
8
yeah.
kilos? Yeah, but you also, when you get a guy with that muscle mass, it tends to wear on you in the later rounds. So
Yeah,
I think that has to do with his style too. But his wrestling background, his conditioning, the guy, I didn't realize all the high caliber guys he's always been around. Rick Story is one of my favorite guys. He hasn't fought in almost a year and a half now because of injury, but his nickname is the Horror. Rick the Horror Story,
Yeah.
170.
But I think he is in.
Benson Henderson.
He's in a position to really. His team's awesome.
This is huge for him.
Can you imagine that? Like,
Yeah, this is
day to day training, like training in that high
Oh, man.
class caliber, coaches high class caliber.
You need to put yourself around the best people. It's like, so when I chat with a couple younger guys who are making their way into the fitness industry, and they're kind of on the fence about going to a really successful high volume commercial health club in the middle of the Sydney CBD, and they're saying it's really competitive, there's people with all this experience, I don't know if I'm going to be successful. And I tell them, that's exactly what you need. You need to put yourself around the most successful people, because that is the only way you're going to grow. If you're in a room where people aren't challenging you, and that room could be your home, that room could be your circle of influence, if these people are just living their life, not wanting to better themselves, not empowering, not learning, not evolving, then you need to change rooms. So I think it's really important for anyone's success and growth.
Yeah, most definitely. I think surrounding yourself with people that can challenge you is huge.
Yeah, I mean, I like what he said about Corey Peacock. We had him on earlier in the season, and it goes to show you what the mind. If you take a fighter, if you take an athlete, if you take a sprinter, a surfer, a runner, yeah, they're the action, but behind that action there has to be preparation. There has to be like an idea, philosophy of how to win.
Well, he's evolved.
And
He's
Corey,
evolved
and Corey's brought that
been
to the
there.
table. That's an awesome attribute to Corey Peacock.
Most definitely. That's not the first time I've heard that either. So
Yeah.
Chris Algieri spoke about it.
Yeah.
And I've read online a few of the other Blackzillians saying the exact same
About
thing.
and
Yeah.
it's what I told you about too. Me being a fan of the UFC for a long, I started watching MMA in 1996. I was 14. My buddies and I, we'd get the old Pride videos. But the Blackzillians only used to have this stereotype about them of just being like, brawlers, guys that were dangerous but weren't really well rounded.
Yeah.
Guys that maybe, and then you had Rashad, who became a champion, and just in the last couple of years, I'm watching those guys really get tuned up and polished.
Okay.
Tuned up meaning polished.
Actually, there's something that came out today in the actual interview that he was talking about training around injuries, and that's probably something we can talk about quickly now. 'Cause
Yeah.
I know both of us have had clients that have trained around injuries.
Yeah, and that client of mine, shout out halfway through the show, Marianne Osborne, the Oz, the Wiz.
Absolutely.
Represent.
But I think it's also both mentally and physically that, because obviously someone like Marianne, she was training in the gym every single day, and then she had to go down to a reduced schedule and do things like low impact swimming, things like that.
Oh no,
But-
no, she injured herself, but she didn't reduce. She still.
No, what I mean is how hard you guys were training before,
Intensity. Oh,
and then
for
the
sure.
intensity she had to
Oh, yeah.
100% cut back, and but she was still in there. A lot of people get injured, and they take the exact, it's cut off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't see any more. You got to keep moving. You've got to be working on some other areas.
I think that's the worst thing you could do if you get an injury and you stop. It's what Abel said. When Abel hurt his shoulder, he started his arm. He started doing legs.
Exactly.
And I'm right now going through an injury, hopefully nothing too major. It's the right shoulder, and I love doing presses and pulls and pushes. But now working through that injury, I've been doing a lot more stretching, flexibility, leg work, isolations on my working out imbalances basically.
I think what I'm trying to say is if you do have an injury, seek some help, ask some questions, a fitness professional, ask them what you can do. Like obviously it's very hard for us to get specific on injuries and what they can do otherwise. Go speak to someone, because sitting out and just being at home
Being static
is the worst thing you can ever do.
for your mind, body, and soul. Just like you hear in the intro, I'm gonna rock your mind, body, and soul. That's what we're talking about. It's all connected.
Yeah.
There is a connection with everything. If you stop one, it's gonna be impossible for the other two to be aligned.
Definitely.
And if you injure your leg, get in the swimming pool. Find an Excite bike. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
They're just upper body.
There's
move
a
your
lot
arms.
of things
You
you
can
can
do
do.
things. There's always options. We all have options, whatever it may be. So I don't like the excuse that I just have to put it on pause, because that's very detrimental, mainly for the mind.
Yeah.
If you have a person who's driven, who's moving, and then they get an injury and just stop everything, I think that mental, steps back is pretty important not to promote that. You need to make your people aware that there's options.
Yeah, most definitely. So seek out a professional, guys. Like I said, they're more than happy to help. If you have any questions, send either to myself at Tristan@TristanCannellFitness.com or at Johnny at TheRealFitCoach.com. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you've got in that regard.
Yeah, also, man, send us questions in injury regard. I know we're getting a lot of feedback lately as of who to bring on. My inbox had a couple ideas, and we love stuff like that. If it could add a different dynamic and flavor, we only ask for one word. If you're thinking of somebody, make sure they're dynamic. Dynamic doesn't have to mean high profile. Dynamic can mean your friend who lives by you, but they're doing something to help others.
Definitely.
So let us know.
Cool. All right, guys, just another big thank you for subscribing and leaving all those beautiful reviews. We really appreciate it. If you haven't done yet, if you could just quickly jump on iTunes and just subscribe and leave us a quick 5-star review, that would be very appreciated.
Yeah, we love that type of stuff, man. It just gives us more motivation. It's kind of like putting ourselves as a fighter and you're watching the crowd cheering. So that you guys are our crowd. Reviews, it just shows us that we're doing something right, so we really appreciate that too.
Most definitely. Just a big shout out to our sponsors, The Organic Trainer and also Jack Rabbit Slim's Barbershop in Potts Point.
Check out The Organic Trainer, www.theorganictrainer.com, exercise and recovery tea company. They have a couple awesome flavors. I always talk about the chamomile. I drink that at night. It kind of grounds me, gets me ready for bed. They also have an awesome trainer flask. Trainer flask, similar to an exercise water bottle. You put the tea in it, fill it with water, and then you take it on the go. When you're proceeding to checkout, use keyword The Vision Board to receive 10% off of all of your purchases. Our second sponsor is Jack Rabbit Slim's Barbershop. I'm going to see him tomorrow. Dre is running the whole show there. You can check them out in Sydney, Australia, specifically King's Cross, Potts Point. He specializes in all types of fades, skin fades, trimming the beards, fro cuts. I moved here with a ponytail. He cut it off. Now I'm rocking a little cheeky skin fade. But yeah, check Dre out at Jack Rabbit Slim's Barbershop, leaving you feeling fine.
Thank you, Dre, for cutting off his ponytail.
Yeah, man, Dre. I have photos of that too. I looked awful. I looked like, I was archaic and primal.
Mr. Stofko, you have a lovely day.
You too, Tristan Cannell.
It makes me wanna creep.
I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul. I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul.
The Vision Board Podcast, hosted by Johnny Stofko and Tristan Cannell.